Hello, everyone, and welcome to CAPuccino. I am very excited to introduce you to Timon and Vincent, who are going to be sharing with you this exciting new tool. Enjoy.
Thank you. Let me quickly share my screen, and then we can get started right away. Is the microphone working? It is on there. Hello. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Welcome to CAPuccino, your friendly cup companion. Some of you might have seen it already in the keynote from Christian, a short demo. And yeah, now we have about 20 minutes to show you the other aspects of CAPuccino as well. We do have a quick agenda. Basically, we start in the past, go to the present, and then come to the future. And yeah, the past. And the main question why CAPuccino does exist, and the main question we also asked ourselves, why does grow as you go stop after developing and not continue into deploying and monitoring your application? Our team has deployed multiple applications to BTP, and the main three things we usually run into are complicated and overwhelming deployments on BTP. You have lots of configs, and it's just super complicated. Also monitoring, you need to remember like 20 different URLs for cloud logging, for the cockpit, and then for the different landscapes. And of course, we have the awesome CAP developer dashboard by Dietrich, but that's Java only. If you write JS CAP applications, you're basically out of luck and have to solely rely on the default BTP functionality. The fix for that is CAPuccino, hopefully. And yeah, since you shouldn't dwell in the past, let's go over to the present, to live demo, and show you what CAPuccino is all about. And I'll hand over to Vincent to show the deployment again. So if you were in the previous session, you might see it again now. Yeah, over to you.
Thank you, Timon. I hope you can hear me. Yeah, I'm sorry, we already teased some of it, so it's gonna be pretty much the same, but with a little bit more explanation. First of all, who of you has ever tried to deploy something on the BTP? Okay, that's a lot of hands. Who of you has ever struggled to deploy something on the BTP? It's roughly the same amount of hands, so no liars in here. Then, all right. So this is like the home screen of CAPuccino, and the first thing to show is if we go to the terminal app that Timon is using, and we run CDS watch for another CAP application. Then we detect it here, new one, and then we can look at stuff from it. For example, we can open it in VS Code. We can visit the GitHub page. And we can do even more that Timon is going to show later. But one interesting thing is we can deploy the application. It's pretty straightforward. There's a big button that says Add Deployment. First of all, of course, we have to log into the BTP. You can set default global accounts and sub-accounts. So I want to use a different sub-account with no Cloud Foundry enabled. And the first thing that it says is, hey, you're missing a Cloud Foundry organization. No problem. I can still hit continue. And then I can just create a Cloud Foundry org. So I can just name that reCAP 2025. And just to be sure that it's going to be unique, I'll just add some random numbers. So this demo is not failing at this point. Now, the org is created. But since we created a fresh CF org, obviously there's no space. So next step is we create a space. We can set the roles we want. We go with the default roles, space manager, space developer, and we can just give the space a name. This time I don't have to look out for a unique name. And now it's created, it's selected, and we can continue. And now we see some BTP services and some green icons. What's happening here is that our project has an MTA file. And in that MTA file, there's resources defined. And what we basically do is we just go through the MTA, we read out the resources, and then we compare the resources that you require, so that are defined in the MTA, with the BTP services that are enabled on your sub account. And now you can see some are enabled on the global account and the sub account. Some are only available on the global account level, not on the sub account. And one more interesting thing, in the MTA, there's an HDI container defined. And we know that you can't just deploy an HDI container without a HANA Cloud instance. So we automatically add that to the required BTP services. And if we hit assign quota, the quota from the global account level is assigned to the sub account. Now, why is not everything green? Why is there a warning icon? Well, because the HANA Cloud service is not defined in the MTA, but we're going to need it for a successful deployment. So it says, hey, you theoretically have all the entitlements, but you're lacking an actual instance. So if we hit continue now, we can create the service instance so that the rest will just run through smoothly with CDS up, hopefully. So we can give that service a name. Okay, that's a different keyboard layout. I'm just not going to use the dash. And we can define a password for the HANA Cloud instance. Then we hit create instance. Now this would be a very boring demo if we would just wait for the instance to be created, because that can take up to 10 minutes. So what we've implemented is we'll just say, hey, it is being created, trust us, and you'll get a system notification once it's done. So look out for a system notification. It should pop up in 5 to 10 minutes, but I can still hit continue. Now bear in mind, since we're lacking the HANA Cloud instance, if we deploy now, it's going to fail. But for the sake of the demo, I'm just still going to show it. There's two different ways of deploying. One way is to basically just use the CLI. And you can also authenticate your CLI. So if I hit that copy button, then the command that is going to be needed for the deployment is put into my clipboard, and I'm also authenticated. So if I should have shown you that it actually works by logging out first. So you can see we're logged into Foundry with the CLI. Just gonna run CF logout and click that button again. And if I run CF target again, you'll see we're logged in again. So now I could just click copy paste, and then we would have the command ready to just deploy it. But there's a second way to deploy it, and that is in app. So we can just hit the deploy button, and we have all the CLI tools that you need packaged. So it's gonna deploy successfully in app. But as I said, the deployment will for sure not work because of the HANA instance. Now it failed even earlier. Just have to trust us that until the release, this is gonna work smoothly. And with that, I'll hand over to you, Timon.
Yes, thank you. I guess that also proves it's an actual live demo, so nothing is mocked here. And yeah, let's imagine the deployment would have worked, and then of course you want to monitor your application. CAPuccino shouldn't be like a one-trick pony, but it's like your CAP companion app that helps you throughout development, deployment, and monitoring. If you have deployed your application, CAPuccino will remember where you have it deployed to, and it will create this environment for you. In this case, it's called reCAP Demo Bookshop 01. And here you can basically see how your CAP app looks like. It's the normal CAP bookshop. We have the app router. We have our main Foundry application with all the CDS services in it, and then the platform services that are required for this thing to run. What can you do from here? First up, you can just click on basically anything, and you get some information about what application or about what you clicked on, basically. So you can see on the left here, it's a CF application. You get some controls for starting, stopping, normal stuff. The interesting thing here is on the right side, you get an excerpt from the MTA YAML. And we all know MTAs can get quite complicated. It might be multiple hundreds of lines. And what we did here was we just show you the part that's actually relevant for this application. So in this excerpt here, there's only bookshop serve. If I were to click on the XSUAA, I'll only see the MTA part that's relevant to the XSUAA service. You can basically click on anything. I can click on CDS services. It's a live demo, so there's nothing there yet. You can click on the app router and on the platform services, and you always get some information about the tool. What else is there to show? We've detected that we have the Bookshop DB deployer, which is a sidecar for the HANA cloud instance. It's only used to deploy HANA, and there is no other use for that, basically. So you can see it's also rendered next to the HANA cloud instance since it belongs there. And yeah, I guess the really interesting part for most developers after you have deployed is you want to see the logs. So you basically click just here, and we are now connecting to your application. We leveraged a lot of work from Dietrich's CAP developer dashboard and have basically installed in our CAP application, if you look here, we have installed this little plugin, which basically offers a WebSocket connection that CAPuccino can talk to. The connection is done through an SSH tunnel, so your WebSocket will never be exposed to the internet. It will only be available internal and only through the SSH tunnel. And if you have installed that, you get some nice features. Just got to get rid of the Teams one here, like, for example, a live log level switcher. We all know the pain. You've deployed your application, but forgot to enable, for example, debug logs. That's not an issue anymore. You can just switch it around here, and you can see that now debug logs are coming in. And if, for example, we were to open the application now, we can just click the little visit UI button on app router. It will take us to the deployed application. So you can see up here, we are now on the deployed instance and can do stuff here. And all the logs are now coming into CAPuccino. And of course, debug might be a bit too much. So let's go back to info. And if I then view some books now, basically all the logs are coming in now. Viewing logs in CAPuccino isn't only possible for CAP applications. You can also do the same thing for normal CF applications. The app router doesn't have any CAP stuff installed to it, but the logs button still works. So if we were to reload now, you can see that we also stream the normal CF logs, and that works for any CF application, basically. Also, what I just noticed in the top right, Electron asked for some notifications. So hopefully we have the instance successfully created. So our HANA instance is now ready. We can also check that in the cockpit. But yeah, that worked. And yeah, with that, the whole UI, if you want to see more logs, you can also collapse everything to get more screen space for your logs and get a slimmer view, basically. And yeah, then you basically can just use it. But you might have multiple environments. At the moment, if we look here, we are connected to CFEU12, might be our development environment. But now you also want to check what's going on in production. That's really easy. You can just use the selector up here and switch to a fully different environment. In this case, we are now connected to a Canary to a BTP Live instance on CF EU10. And it took only a second, and we are now fully connected to the live instance. It's working exactly the same. We can switch log levels. We can view CF logs. All the links are working. So if I do visit UI here now, I am now connected to EU10.005, and the logs are coming in. I can also visit individual CDS services. In that case, it will just open the API URL and basically work on the new instance just as we worked on the other one. And the really nice thing is it also works for local. Of course, some stuff gets hidden on local. You don't have any platform services if you're not in hybrid mode, and no app router on local. But the WebSocket connection still works. We can switch it to debug. And yeah, one really nice thing about this environment is they are Git friendly. So they will be created in the actual project directory in a .cds folder, so that you as a customer can decide if you want to share them or not. Of course, you can put them to the Git ignore, then they won't be shared. But if your team would like to share those configurations, they can be uploaded to a Git. There is no personal or sensitive information in there. And then if a colleague pulls, it will be automatically detected by CAPuccino and will then come up in the environment selector up here. And yes, I guess with that, we go back to the slides and now go to the future, where we need your help. But before we go to that, I hope the only question you are all asking yourself now is, when can we try CAPuccino out? Unfortunately, not today. CAPuccino will be available later this year. We're working hard on getting everything ready and polishing everything up. But we just need a bit more time before we can give it to you. But if you're really, really interested, you can scan this QR code. It's another survey where you can also sign up to be notified if the release actually happens. Every single question in the questionnaire is optional, so only fill out what you think might be useful for us. And we want to develop the tool for you. It's a tool for all the CAP developers. So if you have anything you want to see in CAPuccino, please let us know. We've put some proposals in there that we can think about that might be useful. And of course, one big one is to also fully support Kyma. That CAPuccino not only works for JS and Java CAP projects, but also works on Cloud Foundry and on Kyma. Another big thing is multi-region support, making that more painless, and also request tracing. Request tracing would mean that you can follow individual requests through your whole CAP application, see which services manipulate that request in which way. And then some, not really creature comfort, but comfort features. One would be a database viewer, a multi-tenant administration UI, where you can basically fully configure your MTX applications, and also the transactional event queues monitoring. And last but not least, of course, AI-supported features. We have to talk about that, but we do have the awesome work from David for CAPGPT. And also, we can think about some AI-supported debugging. There is a rating in the questionnaire. So if you feel like any of these topics are super important to you, please put them high on the list so we can focus on them. Of course, no promises. This is like a very, just our ideas. We won't guarantee that anything like that happens. And with that, I think we come to an end. We have 1 minute left for Q&A.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We can take some questions, and I see one already in the very, very back.
Thank you. Great stuff, guys. So one quick question, maybe I missed it. If yes, sorry for the stupid question. So where is this running? Is this running locally, or is that a service I enable on BTP, or both?
It's actually a local application. We'll provide it for Windows, Linux, and Mac OS. So cross-platform, it will run fully locally on your system, unless you connect to a remote instance, of course.
Makes sense. Another question. regarding the MTA YAML and the scanning of it and then figuring out the services it needs. What happens if I add non-CAP stuff in there? Let's say I have UI modules, I have other services. First, will that be recognized? Will it break it? And is there some sort of self-healing in case I mess the MTA up?
It won't break it. It will just be ignored since there's no CAP service attached to it and we can't do the link back to CAP. Self-healing MTA is a very good proposal. Please put it in the questionnaire if you're interested. As of now, we don't have any plans for that.
Thank you, guys.
But can you hear me? I got to add to it, if you add BTP resources, so BTP services, currently we support a limited list of services, so basically everything you can add with CDS add. But we can for sure and will extend that list, so you won't break it in that regard.
Thank you for your session, and we're looking forward to use CAPuccino quite a lot. So we are already signed up, of course.
Amazing.
So we actually also use multiple landscapes, but there are usually small differences between them. So what we use is MTR extensions. Are you planning to support them as well, and how would you include them in your model?
Yes, MTA extensions are a good point. We've used them also in the past, especially for multi-region support. For the first version, there might be some weird UI stuff happening there, and probably variables won't be resolved. But it's definitely something we have on the roadmap to think about. It will still work most likely, but there might be some visual bugs in the MTA viewer. What will happen though is there will also be a link to VS Code in the MTA viewer so that you can jump off into your favorite IDE, at the right line. And then basically if CAPuccino fails, that you can jump off into another tool where this will be fully supported.
Yeah, cool, thank you.
Okay, I saw a hand right here and one on the other side of the room, so I'll come here first.
Yes, I really like it from a developer perspective. I cannot come on the fence from an architect perspective, so you can still click sub-accounts and stuff. But just a general question, is this meant as a replacement for the dashboard, the developer dashboard?
It's more of an evolution of the developer dashboard. We plan to fully support all features from the developer dashboard, but support them for Java and JS.
Okay, and is it extensible in some way, or is it like an as-is solution, like it's Electron, so it's potentially not extendable?
It's also a good question. We've thought about a plugin system and thinking about if we can facilitate that. But for the first version, it won't be extendable.
Thanks.
I'm on my way. Where were you? I'll come back to you.
Hey, maybe a stupid question, but is it going to be open source?
Good question. And you're not going to like the answer. It's not going to be open source for now. Yeah, unfortunately, due to internal reasons, it won't be open source. I'm sorry.
For the API access.
Oh, I think for the API access, we use existing APIs from the BTP. We've added nothing new there. So that kind of depends on the tools we use. I think they're also closed source. But yeah, we don't have any BTP extensions. We just use existing BTP APIs.
Hi, one question. Because it's connecting to your local file system to everything, will it also work if you're using Bus for your developments?
Probably not, due to multiple reasons. The first one, the big one, of course, is on bars, you don't have a machine with a display attached to it. So there's no way for CAPuccino to render anything. Other than that, technically it could work, but it's not supported.
Well, you could run it locally, but connect it to Bus for your...
Oh, that's a good question. I don't have an answer to that. We have to test that, but we can put it on the map to test.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all the time we have. Please feel free to catch these guys outside of the session, and I will see you in 5 minutes for the Khaleesi pattern.
Thank you, guys.